couple of tasks earlier, but I am going to be doing some Spyro 120% for you now. So now time for the starts at the end of a opening cutscene here, so I'll count down to when the end of that is.
Okay, rolling.
Oh!
Alright, just gotta skip that. And then ready, and 3, 2, 1, start. So, this is Spyro 120%.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
So there are 3 types of collectible life to get: rescuing all the dragons, collecting all the gems, collecting all the dragon eggs. When you hit a crystallized dragon on a platform, the dragon there'll be a cutscene where the dragon talks to you. You can skip all of them except that one. So there are 80 of those total in the game. And then there were our first gems. There are going to be 14,000 of those. And here we did the first world's little puzzle that there always is for unlocking the flight level. In this case, that was jumping onto all 5 of the stones there. There's a dragon in the third world that will tell you about that. And then they'll light up as you jump on them, but you don't have to rescue that dragon first. So this is a flight level. There's 1 in each world. Each of them has 4 sets of 8 targets, and hit them all in a certain amount of time and you get all the gems. So some of the route there was to manipulate the position of these planes because they only move when they... Oh, well, my flame actually got that. Nice. They only move when they're in the field of... Well, what would be the field of view of the camera. So by adjusting where it's pointing in the beginning parts, some of the planes move more than others and line up nicely like that. So then we go outside this area. There's just this row of arches there. Almost done with those. And then we go inside this little cave for the chests. So on the last chest here, there's a little something I'm going to be doing. Once I make sure that I'm aiming myself correctly for it. So I'm going to hit that a little bit lower than I normally would, causing Spyro to smack his face right into the stone pillar under that chest. And what that does is that skips a little cutscene a few seconds long where Spyro triumphantly flies up into the sky in celebration of completing the flight level. We don't need that. We do need that gem, though. So now we're, well, back in the homeworld, just making our way to the next portal. Each homeworld has 3 standard levels. The last one's a bit of a special case, but 3 standard levels, a boss level, and a flight level. So here's our first standard level. This is Dark Hollow. You may see some enemies here that have metal shields and some that are large. This is the level where you're intended to be taught about such things and how your flame will not affect metal armor and how you cannot charge large enemies. The dragons talk to you all about that as you rescue them. But, well, we only need to talk to Nestor. So anyway. Come on, don't... Okay. Yeah, sometimes that one can stop and, like, growl at you, and that just wastes some time. But that didn't happen. So I got a key there. That key goes to this locked chest up here, and that spawns a whole bunch of gems out of the, well, out of a spot on the ground when you break it. If you either charge over it and stop, or you roll over it while it's breaking, Sparks will grab all of the gems and bring them to you as though they all came from a chest that you charged open. So that's convenient. Saves some time. So now we're up at this final part of that level. Got these little side things here. Ooh. got a little bit of a wall glide there. If you glide against a steeply upwardly sloped wall, you can actually gain a little bit of height and make some glides that you normally would not be able to. So there's a couple examples of that there. There'll be a few of those throughout the run. Why do I feel like I'm a gem short? Yeah, we'll see. I am missing a 2 gem. Okay. I'm sure this is a small level. It won't take long to find. Oh, did I go over here? Something tells me I'll be over here. It's been so long since I have missed a gem in this, but missed gems are the bane of this category. So you gotta get every single one of them. I know a lot of the gem counts at various points in various later levels, but yeah, typically that's not a... Oh. Okay. Slight routing consideration here. Just so I don't have to reroute the homeworld, I am going to exit this through its exit portal, even though I normally would have paused an exit level there. It's always something. Anyway, back in the homeworld we go. Get what's over here, and we'll go over to that dragon mouth. And that dragon mouth is the reason why... the reason why I wanted to exit that level through its exit portal. Because after you rescue this dragon, and if you have exited at least one other level through its exit portal, the dragon mouth will open and reveal the portal to Toasty, the boss level here. Now, except for the final boss, bosses are, well, except for this being 120% optional, they're just a level that happens to have a boss at the end. Other than that, there are just gems and dragons, although usually only one dragon, or maybe 2 in some of them. But otherwise, just like any other level. They tend to be a bit more difficult. You may notice that there's no fodder here, so if I take a hit, there's no way I can refill. Also, there are tougher enemies like those dogs that take 2 hits, or, well, in the case of that one, we'll deal with... Ooh, I thought I had delivered the first hit on the way out. Okay, that gem that came to me was from that dog jumping into the abyss because I baited the dog to do that by jumping around it the way I did. Anyway, here we are. Toasty takes, well, 1 dog, 2 dogs, and then you'll see 3 dogs here guarding each phase. But Toasty turned out to be nothing more than a sheep on stilts. Alright, back in the homeworld we are. And that brings us over to the next level here, Stonehill. So this one, there's sort of an upper path making a figure 8 with some lowered parts in the holes of that, one of which is what I spawned in. So we'll clean this first one out, and then we're going to do a bit of an unintended thing here where I'll hold jump while I bounce on that fountain. That is a surface where you get the tumbling animation and typically get forced downward. But if you hold the jump button while you land on one of those things, you will bounce up as though you had jumped off of it. And that gets us up to the top here where we can start clearing these gems off. And this will bring us to the first one of the 3rd type of collectible item in the game that I need to get all of, dragon eggs. That blue thief, which is sort of, yeah, faster than a lot of other enemies in the game, but yeah, that's not exactly saying too much. Oh, double kill on the shepherds there. There are 12 of those in the game. They have dragon eggs. You need 5 of them to let the balloonist at the end of the third world take you to the fourth one, but you have access to all 12 by that point. And they are percent, so we will have all of them by that point. So we have cleared out the, well, one of the sort of lower parts of that. That finishes the top. We got a key here. Clean up this little lower beach section, and we are jumping into the whirlwinds to save a little bit of animation time in those. The L1 and R1 buttons do a sideways roll move that is not something that was brought forward into the Spyro games after this. There's our lock chest. I did not get the right angle on that dragon platform. I'll say more about that once I finish the level, which will be very soon. Get up there. Last little room we need in here. Alright, if I can position myself just right, I can get... I think... Oh no, I missed only one chest at the end though. Close to the one cycle. And that is Stone Hill. So, what I was saying about dragon platforms, you can skip the dragon cutscenes, well, except for that very first one. But Spyro has to walk to the position where he would be at the end of it first. So, you want to rescue the dragon at an angle as close to that position as possible, as you can see I did there, so that Spyro gets to that point as quickly as possible, and thus the cutscene becomes skippable as quickly as possible. Oh, need all of those. So that'll bring us to the last level of this first world, Town Square. Yeah, this one has a few new things in it. Although I will note there's this dragon and then that other one right up there. In any percent, I would do a spin jump to get right up there after defeating, well, after rescuing that dragon, and then drop to a third dragon there. That's probably the closest set of 3 dragons in the game. This thing's a spring chest. That's the first one of those we've seen. One hit to that pops its gem up into the air, and then we have to jump up and get it. Long chains of those can be a little bit annoying to deal with, but you can jump and flame at the same time to spawn the gem in a reasonably nice way. Then we'll come over here to this egg thief. So there are only 2 eggs in the Artisan's world, and, well, we now have both of them. So this upper path has a whole bunch of the level's treasure in it. It will also have our first instance of another chest type, the fan chest. So these need to be flamed 3 times, and then the fan is going too fast and the chest opens. But the fan goes flying and can hit something else. We didn't make use of that here, but in a few other levels that have fan chests, later in the game we will make some use of that. Now we just have to clean up this top area. And that is Town Square. Ooh, almost missed that. Alright, those on those pillars. that finishes this little side area. All that's left is the balloonists. Well, and those last 20 gems, or, well, 16 gems on the way to it. So each balloonist, which is how you get from one world to the next, has a particular requirement of collectibles to get there. In this case, it's 10 out of the 16 dragons that you have access to by this point. Although any percent gets 11 because of a higher dragon bar later in the run. But it's the balloonist requirements that determine what any percent has to get. So here we are in the second world. This is Peacekeepers, sort of a desert-themed world. And a lot of soldiers and similar related equipment there, like cannons. Also, a lot more gems in each level. This is Dry Canyon, and we are going to make some use of the projectile from a fan chest right at the beginning of this. Listen carefully. Alright, what you just heard is an enemy on the upper tier of the level, like up above where I was, get killed by the projectile from that fan chest. So they do have a bit of a homing effect, which is kind of nice. These birds have hitboxes that extend somewhat farther down than you might think they do. We'll be seeing that in action much more clearly in the level after this. But those exist in a good number of levels in this world. And now we'll make our way to something I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to reach as a kid. And that is this dragon, Maximos. And the key that is alongside. Making that glide from that little side area is the key there. So, see that pink gem there? Oh, that is our first one of those. That is worth 25. But that is the gem that was dropped by the enemy we sniped at the beginning of the level off screen with the fan chest projectile. And then we also have an egg thief here. And a row of spring chests. Oop. Somehow I both hit the gem and bonked on it. But all that's left in this level now is this little side path here. And that actually is going to have another type of chest we haven't seen before. After I can deal with these birds. And there you can see how I was able to just charge alongside that post that that left bird was standing on, but still kill the bird. That is how far down the hitboxes extend. So this new type of chest is a fireworks chest. You flame it, and after a little bit it explodes, launches a gem high in the air, which you can sort of see in the chest itself, and sometimes, well, most of the time, also pop out a whole bunch of other gems. If I didn't have only a green sparks, I would have charged the first one and just taken the hit from the explosion, because doing something other than flaming it causes it to instantaneously explode. But that would leave me with no sparks if I did that there, and that would mean I would have to touch every gem instead of merely come close to it. That thing I just opened there and left behind is an extra life chest. The reason I opened it was to get it out of my way. We have no need for that extra life, but if you charge into an extra life chest, you always bonk off of it, and then I would have fallen off that platform. So we're only going to be in the homeworld for a little tiny bit here. And that is because we are in Clifftown, where we will start this, hopefully, with a little trick to get to some gems behind this opening area by abusing the physics of charging against slopes a bit, which worked. So you're intended to need to glide to there from pretty much the last part of the level you get to, which is the cliff up there. Also, these pots have gems in them, so be sure that you do flame all of them. It's all too easy to miss one and not notice. There's an egg thief. There's a dragon. Then we'll be doing a few more jumping tricks here. Yeah, after we clean up this bottom area a little bit. So what we're going to be doing here is a little charge at the end of a glide can... Come on, light, light, come on. There we go. So when you glide, you are slowly descending. And there are a lot of places where something is just out of reach of a glide to encourage you to possibly try and find a slightly different way to get over to it. But if you charge at the end of a glide, you do get a little tiny boost, and sometimes that can get you to where you're trying to go there. Or in that case, make a jump a bit higher to a new platform than you normally would be able to, removing the need to glide down to it from somewhere up here. Gotta make sure we hit all those pots. So this is the top of this half of Clifftown. Okay, I have never fallen off like that before. Yep, there's your never happened before moment. As I was saying, back across here we go. Collect these, and this is a pretty sparse area with birds on posts. Some of the posts are high enough that we can't get the birds along the ground, but yeah, we can still make some good use of the unusual hitboxes. Great, that should be the last bird. That's the last dragon. Where would... Oh... I missed 4 gems somewhere. Oh my... Well, it's not good. There's 2 of them! Oh. I forgot the area near this wall. Right near where I started, well, realized that, but... Yeah, sometimes level routes just blend together a bit, especially when it's this late at night. Anyway, we are now up at the little puzzle for unlocking the flight level of this world. But first we got... Oh, first we have some cannon shots to fire, including one at that target that is, for some reason, painted on that rock. That is the flight level puzzle for this world. But before we do that, the portal to the boss level is here, so we'll do that first. Yeah, we'll get that on the way out. I am going to be actually finishing this due to the layout of the initial part here. Finishing this by running back out along this path. Alright. Another 25 gem. Bit generous of the game. So there is one gem down here. I did not hear Sparks get it. I think I charged a little bit too late there. But it is way too easy casually to miss that. And here we are with Dr. Shem. Large and metal armored, except on his back. I wonder what his weak spot might be. Oh, got an extra hop there. Didn't have quite the optimal positioning there. But similar to Toasty, I just gotta deliver 3 hits and that's it. More importantly, there's cleaning up the rest of the level after this. And getting the less conveniently, or much less conveniently from an enemy that I let go that I normally wouldn't. But we have everything. So now that we have that open, let's do the flight level. So this is Night Flight. The sets of targets are rings, arches, lights, and chests. Something that is unique about this flight level is that every target is stationary. This is entirely about routing and has no timing element to it. All other flight levels have at least one moving target. And we'll just weave through these arches and lights here to finish this off. Yeah, when you have a final target as huge as a light, it's almost hard not to get the animation skip on that one. But that is that. We'll just be cleaning up a bit more of the homeworld, including this egg thief. It's the first egg thief that is in a homeworld. And then this little cave has the locked chest for the key that we just grabbed. So there I was doing... I'm a little surprised I got that second one. But there I did that charge a little bit and stop thing to, well, over where the gems were spawning from the locked chests so that they would automatically open on me. Alright. That is all those. And then the final level of this world is down here. Ice Cavern. Little bit different from the levels that make up the rest of this world, but yeah, still kind of sort of on the theme, as yeah, you could consider it sort of a cold counterpart to it. But this level is mostly ledges around a huge bottomless pit that I'll just have to navigate around. Sometimes Sparks can be eating dragonflies or butterflies at an inopportune time like that. I'm not sure I want to think much farther through the implications of Sparks eating dragonflies, seeing how Sparks is 1. But anyway, there are a few of these light posts in this level that have gems on top of them, and bonking or just sort of sideswiping the light post with a charge will knock the gem down. Hopefully directly on top of you, so you don't have to let Sparks get it and have to wait for that. So even though we just death warped there, we keep the key, which works out nicely because the locked chest is up here. Then we can make our way down the passage that is probably intended to be used to bring the key up. But there's a first slippery shoes enemy. There are a few more of those in this level. Like they're armored all over, so you can't flame them. They're large, so you cannot directly damage them by charging, but you can get them over the edge. That looks like the right gem count. Actually, I think I'm short 5. But if I am, I know exactly where they are. I also... yeah, it's nice to see those various Spyro emotes in the chat. So here we get to a couple of those huge slippery shoe enemies that are a little bit farther away from the ledge and need to be hit twice, or a few more times if they get stuck against a treasure box like that. They're saved a bonk by just sideswiping the first one. There I did want to bonk on the second one because I'm going to be turning around anyway. Now this gem counts, right? Alright, so if I go like that with that one, at a steep enough angle, that one will fall in one hit, but if you hit that one from straight on, it takes 2. And then these are the last few gems here. And then these are the last few gems and last dragon of the Peacekeeper's homeworld. And that is Peacekeepers. 2 worlds finished, 4 remaining. So, world number 3, Magic Crafters. As you might expect, there's some magic here that causes platforms to move around and yeah, some things to change about different levels, and yeah, we have to deal with that. The any percent requirement for that last balloonist was 1,200 gems, and you have 3,000 available to you by that point. But because there's a much higher gem barrier later in the run compared to what you have available, that particular requirement at that balloonist doesn't really affect things too much in the world of any percent. So here is our first level in Magic Crafters Alpine Ridge. One of the things I like about this is that this level is a lot of fun with enemy interactions, although sadly we don't get to really see them. But just those little touches. When these stairs are collapsed, they are a tumbling animation inducing surface, so you can bounce up them with the jump button. Before we cross there, we have this little section here. Those two, the green and blue enemy there, have a sort of scripted skit there that they go through if you watch from afar. Where the blue one will try to attack the green one, and the green one will avoid the attack by raising the platform, and also like raise something, another piece of the ground to trip the blue one. They had some fun with the interactions between enemies there. So then we have these that are alternately raising and lowering something I need to get past. That one wouldn't have been a problem though, because if it were raised, a charge at the end of the glide does get me across to it. And being right there with that raised gets you close enough to that green wizard to put him into scared mode, as you might have seen like that one running around a bit. But as a side effect of that, that causes the platform to return to its standard position. Ooh, the timing of that accidental pause seems to have stopped the music for this level, but well, we'll be out of this level soon enough. I have all those from that fireworks chest. One of the other fun inter-enemy interactions you may have been able to see there, but is unique to this level, is those large orange beasts just being fed by one of the smaller ones with the silvery coats, just throwing some red fruit, probably an apple, down into its mouth. Oh, and also the higher parts of the mountainside there don't have collision data because you are never expected to actually get up there. So this path has the last few gems on here. Then we will be back in the homeworld and then on our way to the next world where the music will be back. The last things we have in this level are these three tall pillars with fireworks chests on them. This one, if you hit it at just the right angle, you can land on a different part of it without being knocked completely off. But that is Alpine Ridge. Now we have some game music again. One of the things that they started doing with the egg thieves in this world is sometimes have them pathing along just sort of an open, flat area, which, yeah, has a bit of an impact on that. So this now is a supercharge we're using, which is a more powerful and faster charge. One of the things it can do, which was completely not intended to be used there, is break open things that normally need a more powerful thing, such as a key. The key to that locked chest is much later in this homeworld, so it would be kind of slow if we had to go get that and then bring it back to the chest. So, Supercharge solved that problem. This is High Caves. There's some branches to the path on this level, but and thus a few different routes for this level. The one we'll use starts climbing through the caves as its first thing. You'll see those large metal armored bugs. There's a supercharge that I'll use to deal with them. Let's see if I can take advantage of a little quirk of supercharge physics. Okay. I got the quirk, I didn't, but I bonked before I could make use of, well, before I could try to hop that supercharger across the bridge and charge through the fireworks chest there. Supercharging will prevent a lot of things from hitting you. That includes the explosions from fireworks chests. So there's an egg thief and some gems. There is another charge little boost at the end of a glide. Now let's go defeat some of those bugs. Or maybe some other ones than the ones we went past. Okay. It's a good thing I didn't make it through there while still leaving that enemy alive, although I will need to deal with that one in an alternate way. Yeah, that's a fairy. Okay, thanks for that kiss that made our flame more powerful, which is completely not explained at all. There is a level in the 5th world that completely revolves around that mechanic, and is the only other level in the game that has super flame fairies. Anyway, that was a death warp back to here so that we can do the other branch of the cave. And bring that supercharge up this area, which is why we wanted to pre-kill what we did after we jumped out over where the super flame was. That let us keep our supercharge speed all the way up to here. Let's see. When I am going into the next pit I jump across, I should have 360. That's looking good. That is. So the other side to this is something that you can easily hop to with the supercharge, I mean. But, well, from the back, it's just a jump you need. Similarly, you can get across here just by gliding from this one. Not too much in here. I need to not forget to pick that green gem up, though. And then, with a glide to the left, you get here. That gets you to 3 different places where you well, are intended to supercharge that... oh, and I did that 3rd flame of that fan chest off to the side to kill an egg thief off screen that was over to the left. The only things we used the supercharge for were... Whoop. I went clean through that. Oh, better than going clean through the armored chests, because then I would have had to go back to the top of the supercharge ramp and try again. Anyway, standard level number 3 here, Wizard Peak. Now you got the inside path, that's right in front of you, but you also have this outside path. And this goes across to, well, eventually gets you to 2 raised platforms within the inside part that have some gems and some enemies on them, and, like, here's one of them. But this is why that outer path comes into play. Well, outside, of course, of the gems that are on it, of which I need every single one due to what this category is. But we're gonna go for a wall glide here. Oh, that wasn't anywhere close to making it. Luckily, that doesn't lose too much time because we just go along here and reach where we would have landed. That's one of the reasons that I like that wall glide. It's not too much of a penalty if you don't make it. Anyway, that brings us to the last part of the inside, where now we'll enter the other half of this level with a whole lot of supercharging. Including, in this case, stacking supercharge ramps. Okay, I needed that fan chest. Yeah, I should be able to get this. Note that the smoke behind me turns orange. That's what happens. That signifies that you have doubled up on your supercharge. There are some levels with some additional, like with a lot more supercharge ramps, where if you go about things just right, you can accumulate 3 supercharges worth of speed and get red smoke. Okay, that delayed hit on that one blue wizard probably means the gem fell to the ground. So I am going to have to hop back up here and make sure. Yep, that is exactly what happened. Oh, oh, turns out I needed that one too. Yeah, sometimes the gem drops from things you supercharge through don't quite want to cooperate. But with all those supercharges, we can make it out here, clean up these platforms. My gem count is going to be 382. No. Yes. Because the, bit of confusion around around those blue wizards at the bottoms of the supercharge ramps, not dropping their gems in a convenient way, caused me not to go through that armored chest there that had a 25 gem in it. But we have that now. So this egg thief, like, along the edge of a little pool like that, that's a similar type of path to what the one that I sniped off screen in High Caves was. Which is why it works out so well to snipe it. But that was the last egg thief in the game. Because for whatever reason, they only included them in the first 3 worlds out of 6. Possibly because the only thing you actually need them for, other than percentage, is the balloonist out of this world, which requires you to have 5 out of the 12 dragon eggs. Anyway, the supercharge there sort of serves as the puzzle to unlock the flight level. Okay. I did not intend to enter that side of the portal. I was trying to go around the back of it, collect the gems behind it, and try and get a little skip that would have caused me to avoid the dragon cutscene there. Ugh, those planes really didn't want to line up. But they shouldn't be in too bad of an alignment when I come back around after these rings and arches. Or actually, that alignment could turn out to be pretty bad. If I had hit all those, which happened in my last couple practice runs, I would be, Oh! Okay, I need to do this level again because you need to hit everything, like all 32 targets in one shot to get all the gems here. That's what the planes are supposed to look like. I just didn't pull up soon enough because I was, thinking too much of saying what the ending of this when it goes well is supposed to be like. Although I guess now you get a second chance to see that. While we're finishing this again, I guess I might remind you that donations during this are going to Urban Arts, which is a wonderful cause. And any that might come in, I'll actually be the one reading them out. I always love doing that, and enjoy having someone to read. But that is Crystal Flight. So we wanted to go into the back of that portal because I wanted to try and have Spyro hit this dragon in the sort of uncontrollable movement as in the portal entry animation before the camera hits the portal surface and causes the homeworld to unload, because that would count as rescuing the dragon, but I wouldn't have to wait for even that first part of the cutscene. Anyway, that just leaves us with the boss level of this world. Blowhard. A larger version in some senses of these light green storm type wizards, which have annoyingly small hitboxes. There's Blowhard. 3 hits will defeat him. Also, it may feel like there are so many gems so quickly in this level, and that is because, well, there are. Let's try that again. This level is so gem dense that even any percent still gets 398 out of 400 gems in it. You'll especially see what kind of gem density this level has on this area out here. Just that row of 10 gems. Then you got hit number 2. Got that fireworks chest that I am not going to damage boost off of because I have a green sparks. And you have the final hit for Blowhard, where he spawns 55 gems. But that is the end of Magic Crafters. So this balloonist requires 5 of the dragon eggs. I have all 12 of them. So onward to Beastmakers. So sort of the themes of this world are swamps and electricity. So there are these squares of swamp with enemies on them that are electrifying them on a cycle. The animation, if you step on one while it's electrified, is a bit slow. So I'll be trying to avoid that. But here we reach our first level, Terrace Village. Shoutouts to the Hill District. We have, well, lots and lots of electrical attacks here. We'll also, have a bit of wall gliding and similar things in the second part of this. We also have this little intersection where it turns out to be best to dip it from each of its two ends rather than go through it due to the way the pathing, due to the paths that exist along the outside. So there's the first half of that. After this dragon, we will have a lot of swamp areas to deal with. But first, also some rockets. And a wall glide. So this area, you're intended to get to it from the end of the level. But yeah, that's kind of out of the way. But that's where you need to go to, in addition to these gems, light these two rockets that open up armored chests that are, well, on this platform I just went onto, and over there. And if the cycle works out right, I get a chance to show you that that little triangle there of that swamp area is not actually part of the swamp area and doesn't hurt you. It's purely cosmetic. One of the things about this world also is that dragons are a bit scarce. Like, there are only two in this level. There are... I should have flamed to sort of extend that out. Yeah, but there are... Oh. Yeah, some some levels only have like 2 or 3 dragons in them. Okay, we saved that. I thought I was gonna miss that platform and have to... I said too much. Okay! This level really doesn't want me to finish it. But we have to do that. Sparks is eating, so I need to touch those, and that is 400. Oh, that death means I have a gold Sparks. I'm so used to needing to hit the fodder there. So there is damage abusing off of a fireworks chest, and I used the iframes from that to charge into the other fireworks chest there, just to smash them open too, with only one hit needing to be taken. So down here is the flight level. And noticing that that little thing there is not filled with ooze like all of the other ones in the homeworld are, is the puzzle behind this flight level. This one is Wild Flight, as probably one of the nicest pieces of music of the flight levels. And is one of my favorites just because of the way the targets line up. And how it's a bit compact, and as a result of that, sort of fast-paced inherently, not just because we're running it. You can't exactly do animation skip in the usual sense there, but you can have your final hit to something be in the tunnel and thus fairly quickly hit the ceiling and not have to deal with the animation anymore. But now we get into the tougher levels. Such as this one, Misty Bog. This is an infamous one in some circles. Yeah, it's a conveniently located piece of fodder. There are only 2 of those in the entire level. And then there are annoying enemies like these. If I have the misfortune of getting hit by one of these, at least the first time, the animation for getting hit by them is very long. And then these blue attack frogs here have a bit of an annoying range with their tongue attacks. Being just within flaming range, so you gotta approach them with a well-timed flame to get them. Okay. I often take a hit in the swamp after that island, but before is another story altogether. But we'll go down to the lower portion of this level now. Alright. I think that was it for those larger, well, like tree-like things. You know, those frogs line themselves up to get run straight through by that boar. Let's see what we have here. Alright, now we have that. We can climb back up to the top part of the level. Getting some... At least there was a dragon right there. Getting all the gems that there are here along the way. Yeah, we're back at the top part. I didn't quite position my flame to hit both of those, and I didn't quite realize that. Yeah, since we took an extra death, I'll take the extra life. Almost finished. We just need to clear out that island that's in front of us. Now, plus what leads up to it. There's the only other piece of fodder in the level. And then we have this gauntlet here, loaded with a large amount of frogs. That's the first frog hit I've taken this entire level. Okay, that's the end of the frogs. Do I see 481? I think so. And that is Misty Bog. there's just a little bit to the homeworld in here. Ooh, if I can stop bonking on the tree roots to get to the treetops. This is another one that, well, definitely caused a lot of trouble for a lot of people way back when. Mainly because of how a lot of the supercharge routes through here are decidedly counterintuitive. In particular, the one for chasing the green thief. The one for chasing the green thief actually involves going backwards on one supercharge ramp briefly. But we won't be doing that. There are many ways to shortcut the supercharge path in question. Some of which are even, or historically even often suggested to casual players to avoid the annoyance of the full intended route. Okay, I took a bunch of bananas to the face. And had less sparks than I thought I did. Alright, I should have 156 after I complete this island. I sort of popped to the side of the ramp to try and supercharge through the spring chests and successfully did so, saving a little bit of time dealing with them. There is 156. There is abusing the supercharge physics a little bit by charging down from a jump above it, thus getting me over here in just the one supercharge ramp. Yeah, getting over here the intended way, if the green thief got away from you and thus you didn't have it to try and follow through the supercharge course, is a thing. But anyway, there is a second thief here, this red one. Or I can flame while gliding, charge down from the glide while the flame is expanding, and defeat the red thief before he even moves. Anyway, that's that island cleared, so yeah, we don't have that many more islands in the level to deal with. Alright, let's see if I can get this thing here. Oh, I was way off that jump. So what I was trying to do there was, with that one supercharge ramp, get through the fan chests and then hit that steeply angled portion near the return home in a way that would launch me up to the top. That is called Stone Knot Skip in honor of its discoverer. But that would have gotten me up to here, which is where the red thief ends up if you don't defeat the thief before he even moves. Then jumping down here to finish everything, you just need to be careful not to accidentally jump into the top of the return home. I have done that. It is awful when it happens. And instead of going all the way around that to get up to the portal to Metalhead, which is the boss level of this world, I'll just use the bridge railing as a stepping stone. So this is Metalhead, this is a boss level, but yeah, this actually sort of feels a lot like a regular level in just how sort of involved and elaborate the outer portion is. And how generous with fodder that portion is, too. But being a typical boss level, this level still only has one dragon right at the beginning of the boss fight. Get a little bit of a wall glide there, push too hard into the wall and flop out of the glide, take a hit. Get up to the high points here. Oh, I jumped from... Okay, we made it. Charging at the end of glides is OP. Now with that assortment of chests near the fireworks chest, why not just blow the whole thing up? And then we just have this little area. That should be 239. There's the dragon. Time to fight another boss. So this is Metalhead. This is a two-phase fight. You cannot directly harm Metalhead, only destroy the power poles that are feeding him power. I did that out of order, so... If Metalhead himself had hit that pole, I would have been a bit entertained. When you finish a phase of Metalheads with a timing you're not used to, like I did there, you gotta be kind of watchful for where things are in the cycle of him throwing enemies at you from the line that was there in that alcove above the room. Because if one of them had been thrown but was mid-room, then it would die and drop its gem in the middle of the room, and it can sometimes be difficult to remember, to notice that that happened and remember to go back into the room and get the gem. Now, the glide from here across to here is right about at the limit of what can be made without doing a charge at the end like I did to make it a lot easier. And because of that, in the PAL version of this game, they actually took the gems that were over there and moved them to the platform that I had to come from to do that. And getting across to that was something that I did have quite a bit of trouble with as a kid, as I'm sure was true for many of us. Anyway, all we have left to do in Beastmakers is get these last 100 gems in the homeworld. This level, one of the outlying portions of it, a screenshot of it from made with well, from Spyro World viewers. That's where the my offline background on my stream page is from. This final gem, we need to jump there. That is because if I go directly, if I just keep charging directly at the balloonist, I will activate the cutscene of talking to the balloonist after Sparks has knocked the gem toward me, but before it touches me. But because I am in the cutscene then, the gem no longer is going toward me and doesn't count. So I would need to say, no, I want to stay here, let the gem come to me. Why did I go this way? Okay. The way that we were always wanted to go here, the first level that we will be doing here is, after I clean up the rest of this little island here, is Haunted Towers. And that is the level that has super flame fairies that like the dragons actually tell you about. That knocked me in a weird way. Also, that fool jumping around that I hit and caused the platform to lower, those are a feature of this world. Showing up in many levels. Not this one, though. Instead, the mechanic here is predominantly around the super flame, where you have super flame fairies in different parts of the level. You get super flame from them, but it's a time-limited thing, so you gotta hit a particular enemy or some other thing that's blocking your way. But if I stretch this just right, I could use the super flame from the first fairy to open the door that the second fairy should have. Okay, I did not crash the game there. I will explain what I meant by that as soon as I actually get the supercharge. Wow. It is rare for me to get that supercharge and have it go away at the top like that. There we are. Getting over to here was another one of those moments of great difficulty figuring it out as a kid. But with supercharge shenanigans like that, it's not too hard. Although with how many tries it took, it probably still took a bit longer than just going all the way through that would be. But notice that Super Flame Fairy is wearing a different color, and that a lot more hearts appeared when that fairy kissed me. That's because the Super Flame from that fairy lasts the entire rest of the time that you are in this level, as long as you remain on the same life. So I don't have to worry about routing Super Flames from fairies anymore. And I can just clean the whole level up now. It's a bit weird how low the gem spawns when you Super Flame or Supercharge a spring chest, but that's just how those are. Alright, got that. So the intended path is to take the Supercharge out that left metal door there, out onto a little platform that has a misleadingly directed slope around a pond, and instead bring it down to the second part of the level, which is where I'm about to go after this, and then use it to charge through the metal door that I opened for second fairy skip, and then charge up and jump at the top of the ramp there. Since I got second fairy skip, I still had to come over here and get the gems that are near the second fairy. Oh, I have no sparks. This is going to be a bit annoying. I think a couple of the gems from that may have gone over the edge. If that happens, I should automatically collect them, but I have seen the game misbehave to that effect in this level, so who knows what'll happen. One of the nice things about Super Flame is that you don't need to flame the fan chest 3 times. Once is enough. And that's Haunted Towers. So there is a nice chain of 3 whirlwinds you could actually see off to the side there that will take me back to the beginning of the homeworld. But dying and spawning at the beginning of the homeworld gets you there a lot faster. And then you can go over here to another level, Dark Passage. So this is one that has the fools appear. This time the thing that they are timed to do is light and extinguish lanterns they're holding, or if you hit them, turn into a lantern that's lit for a little bit. And the enemies within the area they control become big and scary in the dark. Which isn't too much of a problem in the case of the dogs, although getting hit by those has a ridiculously long animation associated with it. But in the case of the turtles, yeah, those large dogs with that animation can also strike when you are not expecting, much faster than you were expecting to. The dogs also have weird hitboxes when they're moving around, especially I forget where I was going with that. And then there's this little side path I can drop down to, which actually has more than half the level's gems in it. Those turtles are very unforgiving. Like if you... There are a few things other than a direct beeline to them once you're in their range that will cause you not to take a fireball to the face. And that fool, uniquely in this level, never lights his lantern. You have to hit the fool to get the lantern to light, and then it never goes out. But you have no choice but to do that to get the turtles in that room to shrink and become defeatable. Alright, 274. Do I see 274? I do. Just got this area inside there. More turtles. Oh, a fun fact. That pool of ooze that you can see there is harmless. You can just stand on it. So this completes the side island here and gets us back to the main one. But in a room loaded with turtles and dogs. Or as I often like to call them, the Frankersies and Kevin Turtles. Anyway, this entire path led us up to a rocket. One that blasted open that armored chest right near the point where I dropped down into this. But there's a dragon in between, and that means we are in a very, very critical section right now. And we are now out of it. So the critical section was between hitting that dragon and collecting the first gem that spawns from that chest. If you die in between there, you respawn at the dragon, but the chest respawns. Which would have meant I would have needed to go all the way through that side path again to get to the rocket to open the chest again. Oh, I missed the cannon cycle on those. Oh, I actually lied about that. That isn't actually a cycle. It's activated by proximity to them. Yeah, there's one of those, actually the small version of these things operating that cannon that's in the middle of the level that is growing and shrinking these enemies. Some of them, like that type, you can still defeat when they're big, but some, like the armored type, you can't. There are two large ones of those that you need to take control of the cannon of yourself to get into small form. These two specifically. Oh, did I get cannon glitch? I did. Alright, well, I'll have to respawn and give it another try. Yeah, sometimes one of those two just will not get hit by the cannon. That is known as cannon glitch. For some reason, it always seems to be a lot more likely to happen on marathon stages. But I have had it happen otherwise. What am I even doing? Oh, I'm at no lives. Alright. Okay. Well, thankfully that'll just respawn me at the beginning of the home world where it won't be much of a run to get to where those are, especially since I don't need to hit them with the cannon again. As soon as you get the gems from them, they remain small. Alright, let's give that another go. I have a gold spark, so I'll just damage abuse off the fireworks chest there. So shrinking that pair of enemies is the puzzle for unlocking the flight level of Dreamweavers. That flight level being Icy Flight. So we'll see what sort of cycle the lights and chest movement I'm able to pull off gets me onto. That's definitely not going to be a good one. But the movement to efficiently get all of the lights and chests is very tricky. Especially with that high one, which just so happened to be the one I missed. I should have hit that train while I was there, or that works too. Yeah, so if I hadn't missed that, I was trying to dive bomb that final train so that I would smack my face on the tracks and get animation skip that way, but didn't quite work that way, but I still got... Since I was still within the tunnel, I got animation skip off the tunnel wall instead. But one more standard level in this. One that has one of the best pieces of music in the game. Welcome to Lofty Castle. So one of the recurring things here we'll get to that on the next island. Oh. Those things can have odd hitboxes and behavior. There's an infinite combo that can happen from one of them, or a pair of them. Whoop. Jump. Glide. Charge gets me across there without having to free the 3 fairies to unlock the whirlwind there. Also, there is a lot to this level. From there and on a lot of spots in that area, you can see the game lag a lot. Alright, we got our glide on the inside. I need to go back up there to get the balloon arc that I was on the wrong cycle for. But I should then just be able to glide straight down into the whirlwind that I unlocked. There we are. Yeah, there aren't many places where I actually need to unlock the whirlwind by freeing the 3 fairies from their cages, but that is one of them. And now we have a supercharge. And we'll use that. We'll hit that fireworks chest and bonk off the wall right behind it, causing all of the gems in it to home in on us and not get scattered everywhere. And then we can move on to the next part of the level, where the game helpfully provides us with whirlwinds to get to some of these outlying islands with fairy cages on them, but do we really need those? Yeah, it turns out we do need this one. No other way we're getting up to this island. I feel like my gem count's supposed to be 217, but I might have left something like in the place I usually do. That fan chest is the only fan chest in the entire game to only have a 1 gem in it. So, red fan chest type. Lots of people think of red spring chest as the one that's hype, but I say it's red fan chest. Alright, that is that last section of the level. I like when the timing on that one works out nicely. boxes on those. Okay, 348 is what I'm supposed to have when I go down to this area, so we didn't miss a gem. Where? So this area has the only red gem spring chests in the game. So I must do it. Red spring chest height. But there we are. Just a little bit of the game still left. This dragon all the way over here, like, is what you might think of as the introductory speech to this world. Alright, almost there. Just got a boss level. It is time for us to confront Jacques. I also forgot to mention the 90% requirement for the previous balloonist is 50 dragons. The number you have access to by that point in the game is not that much higher than that. So that's one of the tighter obstacles to any percent routing. The other tight one is the balloonist that I am about to get to after this level, which has a requirement of 6,000 gems out of the 10,500 you have access to by that point. Alright, clean up this alcove. Come on. Cake skip! If I had charged at the end. Yeah, so to raise both layers of that, you need to hit both of the fools here. But if you're quick enough after that, you can get into the alcove, clean it up, jump back onto the top of the cake, and get over here without needing to raise them again. That is cake skip. Which I got, but then botched the landing. And the camera angles just make that little area a little bit annoying. Alright, time to fight Jacques. And that dragon would give some advice for the fight, which is aim high in life, but watch out for flying boxes. Like, if you stand next to Jacques for too long, he will throw flying boxes at you. You don't want to get hit by them. And just because of the dragon platform angle, that is why we rescue that dragon on the way out of the fight instead of on the way into the fight. So then we just have this section, sort of the, well, what you might call the right path to, like, from the beginning of the level to Jacques. But there's a reason we come down this one. And that is because of this fool here. So this fool remains ticking for a while. That is because that fool controls this platform all the way over here, getting us to the side path that has the last dragon and a few of the last gems in Dreamweavers. Yeah, let's see if I can get this in one glide. Not quite. Yeah, this glide has always given me trouble. that should get us to this last part. Do I see 485? Yes, I do. And that is Jacques. And that gets us our 10,500 gems out of the 6,000 we need. And we are on to Nasty's world. So this world is a little different. The homeworld is just this little circular platform with a whole bunch of dragon mouths around it. There's one portal that's open. Well, for some definition of open, this becomes interesting in any percent. But for this, we gotta grab all we can. But as you exit each world through its through its return home portal, the next dragon mouth will open. This North Cove will give us access to Twilight Harbor, and then Twilight Harbor will give us access to the Nasty North level. So the sort of unique mechanic in this level is these barrels. They're these metal ones that you can charge. I was trying to jump there. Okay, on the fly rerouting. Let's go. Okay, I would have ended up there, then gotten all of that. Then that. Already got that. Would end up on the bridge. Yeah, just backtrack up to clean this since I got kind of sidetracked from all that and how that ended up landing, but I think I have the right gem count. We'll see soon enough. Oh, also the TNT barrels, they buzz in warning that they're going to explode a little bit after they explode. Now, let's see if I can time a charge to explode this TNT barrel exactly right, which I did. That blew up that armored chest there, meaning that I don't have to charge that barrel down to it and come back here. That is called barrel skip. It is a nice skip. See how my timing. I did not explode the TNT in that last one's hands, so I gotta do that separately. But here we are. "77 dragons. The game has 80 of them, so we're getting there. Yep. We do need all of those. Let's see if I can get all 3 for 1. Good! Yeah, sometimes one barrel doesn't quite want to hit all 3 of the things there. Yeah, in case that doesn't end up exploding, the explosions don't end up breaking the lock chest, that is why it is good to still get, it often works out well to still get the key. I am 5 gems short. Hopefully just back here. No, okay. I'm gonna have to explore the level a bit more then. This is why you know your gem counts. Oh, I do not want to return home quite yet. So we have a 5 gem to find that ended up somewhere. There it is. Now, if this were the PAL version, I would be able to pause and exit level here, but since this is NTSC, I do still need to actually go to the end of the level. As in PAL, 100%ing the level, even if you don't exit the level through its return home portal, still counts. So one more standard level remains. That level is Twilight Harbor, where it is time to face the floating Doritos. And hopefully not take too many to the face. We'll see how that goes though. I got those pits of yeah, I guess we can call it nacho cheese. I don't think the other flavors have necessarily have pits somewhere in this level representing them. But we haven't had too many of the things on the screen yet. But there will be some. Weird! Well, still got the gem from it, so that's all that matters. There we are. Almost taking some to the face. Clean up this area. So there is a supercharge ramp coming up. It is actually the last supercharge ramp in the game. And we will be performing not one but 2 death warps relating to it. Because now the level just works out that way. So we raised that bridge. By the way, thanks for those Doritos chips in chat. I always make sure to put some of those in chat when I'm watching someone do this level. I think they replaced them with paint guns in the in SRT. It just doesn't have the same charm to it as the Doritos do. So now the bridge is lowered, so we will supercharge again, this time to get that armored chest we had to leave behind back there. I forgot to rescue that dragon. So we aren't going to be death warping back to there. But we do have the correct gem count. And now we also have the correct dragon count. So, onto this last part of the level where more Doritos will be floating around than any other place in the level, occasionally hitting me directly in the face. And sometimes I drift off the edge of things into the, well, what would we call this much darker stuff? Well, oh! I did not think to touch the dragon platform because I am used to just having spawned at that dragon platform and then continued onward into that last part of the level. There. Now, if something horrible happens to us here, some grisly Dorito-related incident, we won't have to go all the way through that factory building. That should be everything, and it is. Okay, that is... Oh, that opens up the Nasty Nork portal. So it is time to fight Nasty Nork. The final boss of this. So there are a few phases to this which actually are determined by getting keys from thieves more than they are doing anything directly to Nasty Nork yet. So that thief drops a key, which unlocks the track of a second thief. I'm gonna do something tricky here. Whoop! Okay, I got that but missed the thief. I was trying to show you the any percent kill for that thief because it's so hilarious. If you hug the right side of the right wall of that entrance passage, the thief flees towards you instead of away from you. Okay, we have that. We can clear out this main part, and hopefully one cycle the next phase. Yep, good thing I looked at my gem count to know that I was not at 179 there. Okay, now it's time to actually chase Nasty Nork. Now, there are some spring chests along this path that will slow me down a bit, but as long as I can get to the end of this path in a reasonably quick fashion, I should be able to hit Nasty at the end and not have to chase him around this path again. I did not. So once I deliver this hit, Nasty will flee through another set of, through another passage over some disappearing platforms, over some ooze, and then I will deliver the final hit. But that's not going to... That's not the end of this. That only brings us up to 99%. The other percent is completing the homeworld where I left some gems behind. And then there's Nasty's loot, which is the other 20%. Now you just have a green spark, so I'm just gonna... If I had more than a green sparks, I would have tried to do credit skip there, but we just need to...
What about Ganasty Ganor?
Just want to make sure that I can finish this. So there is this, it's not skippable. The credits are going to play. It would have been nice to skip them. I could do disc tray skip, but I just don't feel good enough about doing it consistently to bet the run on it. So, enjoy some credit music. Yeah, this does mean we're gonna end up slightly over, but not by much. These nice fly-throughs of the level. This... such nice music this is. I guess, yeah, this would be a good time to remind you that as part of this we are raising money for Urban Arts, a wonderful cause, and all throughout Speedrun World Record Circuit Season 4 we reached over 10,000 just earlier today. We hit that threshold. I actually was reading the donations out during the run during which it happened, so that was a lot of fun to do. Alright, we're getting close to the end of the level fly-throughs here. I think there's one more after this one, but then it is Nasty's Loot, where we will get the remaining 20% in approximately 3 minutes. And then this run will be finished. Yeah, I do see some preemptive GGs. This is not that quite yet. Actually, one thing I've taken to doing when watching this category is giving a single G at this point. Since this is the, since we do have to, unless successful credit skip is pulled off, we do have to sit through the any percent ending like this. Remember, no sheep were harmed during the creation of this game. A few Norks, but no sheep. Anyway, oh, that's a new dragon there. This dragon, well, if we weren't just summarily skipping its cutscene like we have been doing to every one of them, would tell us that we need to get 100% to open this dragon mouth with this portal to Nasty's Loot, where the other 20% lies. So we now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000? It is 14,000. There are 2,000 in here. The percentage math works really weirdly when it comes to like beyond 100%. Also, every single gem in this level is either a 10 gem or a 25 gem. There is nothing less than that. And you may have noticed that we're able to fly here. That is the special thing about this level, well, beyond its gem count and treatment. So you can fly, but your height is capped to the height at which the highest height that you ever started to fly from. So you have these thieves with keys. Oh, this is actually probably the best place to let you see, actually see a fan chest projectile in action. You may have seen one of them snipe the thief there. But these keys, all they unlock is higher ground for you to then jump and fly off of and access other things at that height. I'm not sure I want to know what sorts of flight physics were needed to allow that plane to somehow remain in place behind that door for an arbitrary amount of time. Alright, there's that. And jumping off the second step is enough. Let's see if I can get Thief for a quick kill. Oh, not quite. Yeah, cutting over from that wall at just the right moment, you can intercept the plane on the way down. Instead, I'm going to turn around here and get the backup Thief for a quick kill. Because they never expected you to come at it from this direction. Or I didn't chase it far enough forward. Let's try that again. Nasty's loop music is at least sort of nice. There we are. Thief for backup quick kill. And our prize for that is 10 gems. That's it. Oh, plus access to the higher ground, but who needs that? Alright, just gotta light these last few rockets. That should get us up to 950 once we gather all of those gems. That is 950, so we just have the last 1,000 and change gems. I have a green spark, so thankfully I realized at the last moment that I should not charge into those, causing me to need to gather up all of these 25 gems with no sparks. Just to make extra sure, I'll pause and make sure. Okay, ready on time, which will be when we go to black after this portal, and time!
Spyro the Dragon. You
I
defeated
always
Ganassi
forget to
Ganor.
have a pair of sunglasses ready for the end of this category. One of these times I'll remember. But that is Spyro 120%. Thanks so much for having me to do this. I'm sorry for going over a bit, but yeah, sometimes these things happen. Good luck to the remaining runners, and well, we'll be back in a little bit with our next run, which is, I should have pulled this up somewhere, which will be Octopath Traveler, any percent stress on with the Mighty Giant Dad. We'll see you with that run in a few minutes.
Urban arts helped prepare me for college by giving me a lot of experiences working both independently and collaboratively with other people to make really cool games, and taught me how to put my all into creative projects, and that helped me put together a very strong portfolio for college.
The best part about being in the urban arts community is the people that you meet. A lot of the people here have the same interests as me, so in the future, making friends here will benefit me and them and everyone around, because we all benefit from each other by gaining skills that other people had that I may need.
Urban arts helped me see myself differently by showing me that I can be a good leader. In the studio program, I was assigned the role as project manager, and fulfilling that role for the first time actually helped me realize that I have good leadership skills, and it really helped me to develop them.